Hey guys, welcome to City Center Church. My name is Brittany.
And I'm Rachel. And we're so glad that you joined us today. I don't know if this is your first week or you've been with us for weeks. Either way, we're so glad that you're back with us.
That is for sure. So we would love to connect with you. Text the word connect card, one word, no space, to 31996. And that'll allow us to get some information about you and hear kind of what's going on in your life and get you connected with our church a little bit more. So hey, Rachel, this week we're starting a new series. The struggle is real.
It absolutely is real in my house, that's for sure. I am on the struggle bus. I have a permanent seat on the struggle bus. It's just there. And I have seats just for all my kids, too, because we're all
the Hudsons are on the struggle bus.
We're on.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's been rough for everybody, right? Like, there's so many things going on. Ray will talk about it in the message. Like, there's so many changes with COVID going on, and we're adapting to a new normal, right? And so there's so many things that it just feels like they're just coming at us all the time. And I mean, how do you even deal?
I don't know, but I am really looking forward to hearing what the message is today. Something that's really cool, though, is that he only talks for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's a short sermon, but it's something that that's what I love is that it's to the point.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's really easy to stay engaged. And so that's been something that's been really great over these past few weeks.
Yeah, I agree. It's succinct and it gives us a great, powerful point and something that we can apply to our lives, right? And then another thing we have this week, we have a good friend of ours from City Center Church. Mark is going to talk with us and do an interview with Ray.
Right.
And we're going to get to hear about his story. So that's going to be very, very cool. Very awesome.
I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. Well, hey, we're going to have after party after this. So stick around for the message. And then afterwards, we'll meet on Zoom and we'll talk about it and see how everyone's doing and answer some questions there.
Absolutely.
All right. See you then.
Hey, City Center friends, man, we are so excited that you are here with us. Man, there is so much going on in our world right now. So I want to know, like, what has been different for you this week? It seems like everything with COVID-19 changes every day, every minute. And so what's different with me, if you haven't noticed, I actually gave my own self a haircut. Yes, if you can see that fade, I feel like I did a pretty good job. Man, comment below. But in the midst of this COVID season, what new things are you doing also? I know for me, I've been gardening, and it's both the most exciting thing right now. Like, I love gardening, and frustrating thing. Like, literally the last 3 days, I've had mushrooms growing up in my raised beds. And so that has been frustrating. But I want to know what your week has been like. Let us know. Comment below. We've got a team that's on right now that would love to talk to you about it. But we are actually beginning a new series this week, and it has to do with struggles. What are the things that you're struggling with? What are the things that I'm struggling with? And is there something that can help? And so we're going to be talking about struggles of grief and parenting, like the struggles of parenting. Like, I have 4 kids, and I try to work downstairs, which is the worst spot because all you hear all day long is kids and dogs running back and forth. Now, mind you, I love my kids. They're awesome. They always listen to me. They never do anything wrong. No, I'm joking. But they are great kids. But man, in the midst of this COVID season, the struggle of having kids at home while trying to work is difficult. Maybe you're dealing with controlling behaviors or emotional baggage or relationship problems. We want you to know that we want to provide you with resources that will help you to move past or even through the situations that you're going through right now. And that is why we are here. So we're starting a series called The Struggle is Real. And we want you to know that I know your struggles are real, and I know that my struggles are real. And so we want to provide you with applicable and practical resources, not answers. I think that there are so many times in life when people try to provide answers, and realistically, sometimes those don't work. But we want to provide you with resources, and we don't want to downplay, demean, or deny the real struggles that you are going through. And so when I think about the struggle is real, I think about this question: why God? Have you ever had a moment in your life where you asked that question? Maybe you're listening in right now and you're not even a Christian or a follower of Jesus or even religious, but you've had that moment in your life where something's happened and you said, God, if you're real, like, why would you let this thing happen? Man, I've had multiple why God moments in my life, but maybe you've asked questions like, God, like, why would you allow cancer? Like, if you're so good, if you're such a great God, why would you allow something as bad as cancer? Or why would you allow innocent people to suffer? Man, comment below if any of these relate to you. God, why would you, if you are so good, allow kids to be abused? Like I know for myself, like I can't wrap my head around even that one. Like, God, why would you allow that to happen? Why would you allow mass genocide to happen? Or this, like, why would you allow kids to die? Or moms who have been yearning to have children, to have a miscarriage? Like, these are all questions that we all deal with and can relate to, because even if you're a believer or not, you still ask that question, like, why God? I remember my why God moment came from one of my closest family members. And man, I would do almost anything for this family member. Almost, not everything, but almost. And we are such good friends. But my why God moment was about 7 years ago, where we were sitting down and talking, and I found out that this family member was abused. And I remember it being why God wasn't just like, why God would you let this happen? But it was like, why God? I was crying, I was frustrated, I was angry. I mean, so many emotions were going through me. Man, comment below if you've ever had anything like this in your life. But my why God moment left me in a place of frustration, like I already said, and really even sitting back and thinking, like, how did I miss it? Like, how did I miss this situation? And so today's question that I want to answer is, why, God, am I dealing with the loss of a loved one? And although there are many why God questions, I thought this would be a great one to start with, because there are so many people in our time right now with COVID-19 and just in general where there is so much loss happening, and we're wondering, God, why? God, why would you let my aunt or my brother or my dad or my neighbor or my coworker die? And I'm sure you've gotten answers like this, answers from people that don't help. You ever dealt with a loss and you had someone give you an answer to why you lost someone, and you just thought, man, that actually doesn't help me? And so in many cases, you get tons of answers from many people that in most cases never work, and maybe there are times when there are a few answers that actually work. But the outcome is still the same. You're consumed with grief. And you're still left struggling alone because you've lost someone. And you sit back and you think, man, the struggle is real. The struggle is real. And so what is grief? I just wanted to hit on this for a moment. Grief is a natural reaction to loss. I want you to know it's natural. It's a natural reaction to loss. It's both universal and a personal experience. And maybe you've had these feelings when you've dealt with loss: numbness. Maybe you felt like you were removed from your daily life, maybe unable to carry out your regular duties. And so what we're going to do today is a little bit different. As I said earlier, we are talking about real struggles in real people. And so I have a friend of mine who's a part of our church here. His name is Mark Vickers, and he's going to take a moment, and I'm going to interview him, and he's going to talk to you about a loss in his life. So Mark, so glad you're with us. Why don't you tell everyone who you are and a little bit about your family?
Hi, I'm Mark Vickers. We live in San Ramon. I've been married to Noe for 32 years. We've got
Come on. Yeah, woo!
We've got two sons, Trevor, who's 29, and Christian, who is 17 and a junior at California High School in San Ramon. And usually I work in San Francisco for the Gap, but lately it's been from my kitchen table.
Has that been good?
Yeah, it's been all right. It's been all right. I don't have to sleep in. I mean, I get to sleep in, and I don't have to take Bart in every day. It hasn't been terrible.
No.
We have it better. We're blessed. We have it better than a lot of people. So
yeah, especially in this season. I mean, there's so much going on, so many struggles, and I mean, it's real people with real struggles that people are dealing with, and you know, as you know, we're starting a series called "The Struggle Is Real," and I think just in the midst of everything that's going on, sometimes we can downplay and make small what people are going through. And so we were hoping through this series that we could really have real stories with real people of like what people have gone through and how they've made it through it. And so, you know, as we start this series, The Struggle Is Real, we're starting with, you know, me and you had a conversation about, you know, there's some real deep struggles that people have. And not to miss out on having conversations around that. And so that, you know, today we're talking about the struggle of why God, like, why does God allow bad things to happen, especially if God is so good. If God is so good, why would he allow bad things to happen? And I think when those bad things happen, you know, it ends up, we end up with grief, if it's from loss or anything like that. And so, you know, I'd love to talk to you just a little bit about maybe a why God moment that you've had in your life, and what, you know, maybe the situation, what was that like?
Well, as you know, a lot of people know this, but many don't. About 11 years ago, we lost a son, 14 years old, and it was unexpected, sudden, and it you know, to say it disrupted our lives is an understatement. I mean, it was, you know, about as bad as anything I can imagine anybody going through. So that was, again, 11 years ago. So,
yeah, and I think for me, and I try to, you know, even when I found out about just being in relationship with you guys, and being a part of your family, you guys being a part of our family, you know, just trying to love, you know. I think in the midst of, I think whenever, you know, someone has something like that happen, you know, a lot of times people try to do something, and a lot of people don't know what to do. And so I think even in this conversation that we're having now, it's almost, you know, I'm glad that you're talking with us, because it's like, hey, you went through something so difficult in your life, and still go through it. You know, it's still a part of who you are. And so I think us learning from that, and how you made it through it, how God showed up in the midst of it, and you know, how do you continue? How do people like me, you know, love people like you, who are dealing with situations like this without trying to fix, you know, and so in the midst of that. And so, you know, so maybe we just move into, you know, that happened. What were some of those you know, what were your conversations like with God in the midst of, you know, this such a difficult thing that happened to you guys?
Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, pretty much any conversation you can imagine one would have with God, I probably had. I mean, there's anger, there's rage, there's pleading, you know, all the stages of grief. But I can't imagine, and I feel sorry for people that have to deal with something like this and they don't have God. They don't have somebody that they can go to with their feelings, their emotions, their, you know, just their whatever, you know, and that they can't go to another human being for. But you can go to God, and, you know, he's got big shoulders to cry on, you know. I mean, and he's got, you know, he can put up with, and he will forgive my rage. He will forgive me blaming him, or blaming myself, or blaming somebody else, or asking why, or pleading. He was there. It's not easy. I mean, but, you know, he did show a lot of grace during that period of time. He brought the right people into my life to be there when I needed somebody, or, you know, or my family brought the right people to my family. Could just be hanging out just being there, just distracting me from my grief for an hour. It could be, and there's a lot of practical things too, meals and organization and helping out with all of the business side of death. I mean, death is expensive. There's expenses, there's coordinating all that stuff, and God brought the right people at the right time, the right resources to help with those things and help us through that process. It's not easy, and and I don't think being a Christian, I feel grief any less than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But having God there, as a crutch, especially when there was times where I was alone, and he would bring words to me like, endure, passages like, be still and know that I am God. Those things kind of sustained me at times where, I thought I was going to die.
Well, I'd start by saying, man, I'm sorry. And I can never know what it's like to lose a child at this stage of my life. But I wanted to ask, looking at, the entire situation and, the years of working through it, what were things that you found out that God was doing? Maybe a few that God was doing that while you were in the middle of it, it was impossible to see. Like what you only saw was the grief and the loss. But what, looking back on that, and looking into it, what were things that you saw where you could see that God was with you, even when it felt like He wasn't?
I think, there's just 1,000 little miracles that happened, mostly through other people. Little things that, looking back and how did that get paid? How did that get dealt with? And found out that there was somebody that just knew they needed to do it. They're also, looking back, there was, I found out about people that started going to church and came to Christ because of that situation. Whether it was because, they went to his service and that was the first time they'd ever stepped into a church and it was very different from what they expected, or they needed the answers to the deeper questions, and that's where they found them. It's just, lots of little things like that, and some big things too. Noe started a care ministry through this, making blankets for people. There's just been,
and just maybe before we go further on that, the blankets are, literally, I remember when I first found out about the blankets, one of the coolest things I've ever heard of, and such a blessing. And so maybe just give just a small tidbit on that, just because I feel like you're skipping over it just a little bit because, you're saying that, but it's helping so many people. So what happens with the blankets?
Well, she's been knitting and crocheting since long before I knew her. And that was kind of her way of processing grief too, is just keeping her fingers busy. And she, stumbled across heard somebody that would crochet and give blankets to people in the hospital, prayer blankets or prayer shawls. And so she partnered with Pastor Derek at New Life Church, and she started making blankets, and other people started helping as well. And they give them to people that are in the hospital or that are dealing with grief or dealing with issues. And I hear a lot of good things coming out of that ministry.
Well, it's amazing, and it's so hard to, people say, hey, God can make good things out of bad things. Mm-hmm. And no one wants to hear that in the middle of their grief. But it's cool to see God, do things like that.
Yeah, I think, I don't mind hearing, in fact, I do take comfort in the fact that He does make good things out of bad things. I think what nobody wants to hear when they're going through this, though, is that everything happens for a reason, because that is not, from what I can tell, biblical. It's more that he can take a bad situation and he can bring good out of it. He can take ashes and bring life. And that gives me comfort. That gives me a lot of comfort.
So maybe just as we're ending, I want you to maybe try to answer two things for us. It doesn't have to be like just long thoughts, but just some thoughts that can help on the practical side of it. So like maybe one, what is someone like me who has someone in my life that's struggling with grief or a loss? What are simple practical things that I can do to help? And so those who are listening can do the help. And then someone dealing with grief and loss right now. So they're right in the middle of their grief, right in the middle of their loss.
Yeah.
What word of encouragement would you give them?
Okay, well, for people that have somebody in their life that is dealing with grief, I mean, the best thing you can do is just be there for them. You know, don't try to fix it, because you can't. Don't try to make them feel better, because, you know, words probably won't work. They might sometimes if it's the right words, but just being there, your presence means everything to them. And then also finding out what needs they have. You know, a lot of people would say, you know, let me know if you need anything. And that's awesome. And then I knew their heart was in the right place, but I didn't know what to ask them. I didn't know what I needed. But there were people that knew what I needed. And, you know, without asking, they provided for those needs, and that meant everything. So look and see, what needs does this person have? Is it financial? Is it, you know, their bathroom needs cleaning, and that's something that you like to do, clean their bathroom. If they need groceries, you know, give them groceries. If they need their pet to be taken, one of the biggest things was people, you know, taking care of my kid. You know, Christian was 6 years old, and you know, people taking him out and showing him, you know, taking him to the park and hanging out and playing with him. That meant everything, because I couldn't. And then for people that are dealing with grief, don't push people away, you know, and let people help you. I know for me that was a little weird and a little hard, because I was used to helping others and allowing, you know, it was very humbling to allow people to help me. But at the end of the day, people want to help, and people wanted to do, but they don't know what to do. So let them, you know, help them out where you can. If you have a need, let them know, and then reach out. You know, don't be afraid. Don't and then also have some grace, because people don't know how to deal with it, and people are going to make mistakes. They're going to say stupid things, and you got to just believe that and have faith that they mean well and they want the best for you.
Thank you for taking time to talk with us.
Thank you.
For those who are listening, I just want to encourage you. These are some great practical things for Mark, and as a church, what we're going to do is we're going to provide resources online for those who are dealing with loss and grief, and so you'll find that at ourcitycenter.com. And so thank you guys. Thank you, Mark, and we are praying for everyone.
Thank you.
And we know the struggle is real, and so we want to provide real resources to help you with those. Man, I want to thank the Vickers family, Mark and Noe and their boys, for being willing to utilize their story to help give you practical steps as you're moving through your grief and through your loss. And one of the things I loved about what Mark said was this. He said, man, I don't know how I would have made it through without God being with me. And he also went on to say that, man, like if you're going through things right now and you don't have God in your life, man, he doesn't know how you deal with all of those emotions and difficulties as you're moving through that. And so today I want to answer this question. How does Jesus help? Although we're saying we're not giving answers to your grief that you're dealing with right now, we do believe that a first step to moving past what you're dealing with and really gaining some relief in the midst of what you're going through right now, we believe Jesus can offer that. And so I want to walk you through just 3 simple passages of scripture that we find. And so the first one is Psalms 23:4, and it says this: even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Man, if you could, below in the comments, just type in, you are with me. Even if right now you don't even know who God is, but you know that you've been trying it by yourself and you need someone to be with you, just type in with me. It says, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Matthew 28:20 says this: and surely I am with you always. Come on. Surely I am with you always. This is a promise from Jesus that he will be with you always, even to the very end of the age. And then lastly, Matthew 1:23 says this: the virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, where they're talking about Jesus, and they will call him Emmanuel, which means this: God with us. I want you to know today that the first practical step that I believe is applicable for you in any circumstance or any situation or any difficulty or any loss that you're going through right now is this: that in your struggles, you are able to make it through with knowing this fact, that God is with you. I believe that God is with you no matter what circumstance, no matter what situation that you are going through right now. He is with us. He is with us when we're alone. He is with us when we are sitting at our house and feeling like no one is around. He is with you when the situation happened. He is with you. And I know I keep saying the same thing over and over again, but if God, Jesus, were standing here right now, he'd want you to know that he is with you, that he loves you, that he sees your pain, he sees your loss, and he wants you to know that he will comfort you. Man, that he can fill you with a new joy in the midst of the things that you're going through right now. And the beginning of that process is just this, so simple, is that, man, if you give your life to Jesus, if you confess with your mouth that he's Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you can have eternal life with him, but he also offers you to be with you now. So I want you to know that God is with you. And here at our church, man, we not only want you to know that God is with you, but we want you to know that we are passionate about seeing our city and helping our city in the midst of their struggles and the things that they're going through right now, for them to know that God is with them also. And so one of the ways that we do that and have done that is this last week and the week before this, we partnered with the Berkeley School District and we built out over 2,800 grade-specific school kits for students who are in need. So their struggle was so real, and they just needed a practical tool to get through it. And so we were able to show them that God was with them through the way we loved and the way we served them. Another way that we are doing that right now is we're partnering with Echo Church and our church, and we just helped a family, a single mom family with 2 kids in school who was homeless, getting ready to get thrown out of the place that she was in, and now we are able to help her to get into stable living. And so, man, we got to show that family that God is with her. Even though we didn't talk about it, we were able to say, man, God is with you through our action and through our love. And so we want you to be a part of this journey. Man, if you are already given to our church, man, we want to thank you because of your faithful giving to what we're doing, your faithful tithing, we're able to help those students with their supplies. We're able to help this family. But maybe you're like, man, that's such an amazing story, and I want to get in on that that amazing story of helping that family and helping those students, man, we want to encourage you. You can go right to ourcitycenter.com/give, and you can take part in being the hands and the feet for those who need it. You can be the help for those who need it. So, man, as we move from this part of our service, I want you to know that we are going to continue with providing you with practical resources all throughout this week. So we're going to post that testimony of Mark on our YouTube channel and on our Facebook. And we're also going to be providing you with practical resources throughout the week to help you through your grief and through your loss. Can't wait to see you next week.